Joining us right now, a gentleman, a scholar, and a guy that has his heart in the right place, the founder of Play Better, Will Cromack. Will, welcome, my friend.
Hey, buddy. How you doing, man?
I'm very good, Will. We know you get it on the field, so we won't keep you too long. But, Will, I was thinking of you yesterday when I was having a discussion with an MLS scout and also an MLS executive. And we talked about grassroots a bit. We talked about training, and we talked about the development of young players. And this is what stuck out to me, and this is why I wanted to have you on to get your thoughts. These two individuals basically told me the same thing. Anthony, we're developing young players that are real cookie cutter players, meaning we're developing players that are taught to go in, come out, cross the ball this way. No imagination, Anthony. No creativity, nothing. We are creating, their words, both of them, robots. And this stuck out to me. And I agree. Watching both of my sons go through the system, God bless the coaches that are prepared, Will, from beginning to end. But I don't think we give enough freedom. I don't think we have enough enjoyment in watching these players and what they can do with dribbling. Your thoughts, and how do we get rid of this?
Well, I mean, I can't agree more, and I certainly think it's not a pure coach thing. In reality, it's kind of a grown societal North American thing in many senses, and I think it's spreading around the world. But the more we organize everything, the more we have our kids in swim lessons and karate and soccer and basketball, and we try to make it time after time and drive and here and there, we struggle to have these kids get a space to express themselves or explore. They end up listening. Most good kids, if you will, they listen to their coach, they do what their coach says, and those coaches carry on with their lessons. And then, another part of that society is the idea that more is better. More and more and more. He's only training Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. He should train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and never have the space to, hey, get out of the house, go drink out of a hose, take the ball, and go find a friend to play with. And the last thing I would say that's a challenge to that whole environment of, like you and I when we grew up and our dads didn't want to see us get out, go down the street, is video games. And there's not a ton that a coach or a teacher can do about that either, other than inspire free play. And we have to teach our parents to do less and treat the organized as a time to learn some of the skills and some of the basics. And we have to also inspire them to say, hey, it's your responsibility in your family to get kids together again, of all ages and all genders, playing together on courts and on fields in open spaces.
Will, you've done a great job all across this country with a lot of people underneath you helping out as best they can, organizing these boot rooms with a lot of these coaches that want to learn, a lot of these coaches that want to digest. When you're meeting a lot of these coaches, do they understand? Do they realize that a lot of these young players, yes, they appreciate, and moms and dads, the practices are structured, that they're organized properly. It's not a babysitting service. I think we all appreciate that, and we thank the coaches for that. But do they understand and do they realize that a lot of these kids play video games, of course, and are watching some of these players from the past, whether a Ronaldinho, a Ronaldo, a Messi, and they're dribbling, they're creative, they're enjoying, they're smiling. And maybe some of these coaches should stop and say to themselves, maybe we should give some of these guys some of the freedom and not yell and scream at them when they're getting by one player and telling them to pass that ball, pass it, instead of maybe get by another guy. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, one of the things we say at Play Better and by default at the boot rooms a lot is that the context of winning is what we have as a problem. It's not that winning is wrong, and it's not that winning isn't an aim. It's that how much depth and meaning we give it is where we're profoundly off base at the youth level, i.e., don't pass it down the middle, don't pass it back to your goalie, and the sidelines erupt in sort of stressed level because there is, a mild ignorance to our sport and just how much training is necessary for a team like Barcelona to do what they do. And obviously that's an example, Bayern of something we all aspire to have our kids able to do. But we give such profound meaning to a 2-0 victory at U10 that those children become scared. So they're more inclined then to become robots, as these MLS execs and coaches describe them. And I think you're not seeing that just in soccer. You're really hearing this echoed throughout. Ohio State's football coaches really keyed in on the idea of multi-sport. Daryl Sutter from the Los Angeles Kings really keyed on the idea that hockey players that train 7 days a week is a disaster when they get into their own system, because they have no ability to think for themselves. There's no place they've explored. There's no other sport they've explored through. And I think in soccer, when you really go back to the roots of South American countries and let's call it third world countries, or where there's not as much technology or other things like that, or things to keep them busy, is they go out and they play. And they explore, and they design new games and different constraints that they give themselves naturally, and that's where the dribblers and the natural technique individuals come out of. But so I say it's a couple things: is they have to play more, they have to learn and be in environments to allow that, but they also have to have parents that understand that a win could be the fact that they dribbled by someone, versus just the win on the score sheet.
Will, I'm glad you brought that up. In a couple minutes or less, and then we'll let you go. I'll never forget going up to one of my son's coaches early on, my firstborn at an under-8, where he said to all the parents, unless you're committed to soccer and soccer only throughout the whole year, you might as well just leave. I looked at him, I shook my head, and I said, well, we're gone. You take care and have a great day. And I'll tell you why. God rest his soul. Back in the early 90s, when I was part of the North York Rockets of the Canadian Soccer League, an assistant general manager, we signed, God rest his soul, former Toronto Maple Leaf, Peter Zezel, to play in the midfield.
Oh, yeah, you did. I remember that.
And I was part of that, and I get shivers and I'm getting emotional just thinking about this, but we talked a lot with Peter about this, and he wanted to play. He wanted to prove to people that, look, I am an NHL player, played with the Philly Flyers, the Toronto Maple Leafs, on and on, but I love soccer, and soccer helped me to win face-offs, Will, with my feet. And with my head, I learned a lot from soccer that I transferred over to hockey, where I made the big money. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't think people understand. Look, maybe when you get to a certain age, your kid really has to commit to one sport. I mean, we're talking maybe 15, 16, maybe 17. Maybe I'm wrong there. But before that, Gary Roberts, Brendan Shanahan played lacrosse. Look where they ended up, in the Hall of Fame, Will.
Yeah, no, and I'm not one to create any kind of false dichotomy. I think it's really a first world conversation, because, and I'm picking on people, but I think Lionel Messi grabbed the ball and went down to the dirt streets of Rosario, and they just played. But again, that's unorganized, environments of creativity. When you play basketball as a young kid in North America at high school, and you're playing at lunchtime, you're exploring a different aspect of your body. The physical literacy is improved. Guys like Peter Zezel and Roberts. I mean, Manny Malhotra used to go out with the Whitecaps here and train, and Steve Nash is obviously a brilliant example of a multi-sport athlete. I don't want to create an argument that says, you have to be multi-sport. I do want to create a scenario where you as a parent, you as a coach, instead of booking up all their time, are creating space for them to go explore different things, whether that's playing foot golf, because it's just a different expression of how they're using the ball, or a different sport altogether. And I think that that's where the real, the real essence of it lies, is can we recreate scenarios that were natural to us playing in the street 20, 30, 40 years ago or longer, where today that time is being sucked up by too much organization, too much direction, too many video games. Are we as adults now, should we be more empowering to go and try and recreate play on street corners and take our energy there 25 to 50% of the time?
Will, unbelievable passion, unbelievable knowledge you have. Love having you on. GoPlay.com, I believe, is the website. GoPlayBetter.com. People can look at all the great stuff. But where's the next boot room coming up in Ontario? And where is one in Western Canada as well that's coming up that people, if they want to attend, can go to?
Yeah, we've got, we're really lucky to have 3 new chapters. Southwest Ontario, so there's going to be one in Burlington, There's going to be another one in Edmonton with Colin Miller. Burlington, by the way, is with Ian McClurg talking about Wolverhampton, which is fantastic. In Edmonton, Colin Miller is going to come out and launch the first boot room there around FC Edmonton and player pathways. And then in Calgary, Calgary Rangers TD Ryan is coming out, and that's going to be a fantastic event as well. So you can go to goplaybetter.com and click through to the meetup groups, and they're all free, and have a pint with the lads and talk about soccer.
Well, love it, Will. And what I love having you on is that you're real. You're not fake. You're not plastic. You speak from the heart. You think with the mind. And you're the type of guy that we need to really, transport all across this country to talk to people about the important thing that we all enjoy is the game, the simple things, not the structured things, not the things that get our youth upset and turned away from sports. So God bless you for being real and not plastic and fake. Will, thank you so much again for making time, my friend.
Hey, thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Have a good one.